All right, what's up, guys? Brad here. Today, I want to bring you my top three favorite decks so far of Forging the Barrens. These are the three I played the most and enjoyed the most. Some surprising decks, by the way, in here, but we'll get to that. And also, we're going to be going from 3 to 1. And starting off, we have our number 3 one being Elemental Shaman. So, this one's just a little bit of a surprise. I mainly just threw this together because I had the diamond version of Brukan. Thought he was really cool. And I'm like, all right, how can I get this to work? Was messing around with a friend. And this is what I ended up coming up with. I was looking at the elemental cards and I'm like, okay, what kind of synergizes with the elemental cards? And they get spells and whatnot. So you have Brukan with elementals because there's not a huge elemental package. And then also we just get the nature spells, right? So you got Chain Lightning, Landslide with the Overload is an awesome card. Lightning Storm, Serpent Shrine Portal, even Storm Strike is in there. So basically between all of these, I realized that we had a little bit of a deck thrown together. Yes, there are other nature cards, such as probably the big notable one would be Lightning Bolt. And I did think about doing a burst Lightning Bolt style deck with spell damage, but I decided to go away from that and make it a little bit more control heavy with the Doomhammer weapon, specifically because of the Cage Match Custodian with Doomhammer being drawn. Makes it kind of a guarantee that it's going to be in our hand at some point. Just gives us an increased chance of having it. And I feel like the burst damage without having lava burst and whatnot isn't the greatest. I mean, our main burst would be Lightning Bolt and Serpent Shrine Portal. So I kind of was like, okay, well, if we control the board and we do something with Storm Strike plus Doomhammer, you're looking at basically doing 10 damage per turn with Doomhammer. So you only really need to do another 10 damage as long as it's not like a priest or a warrior. And honestly, the few games that I've played with it, which aren't too many, were pretty decent. I found that the deck was performing better than I expected. Now, I'm sure there are ways to tweak this to make it a little bit better. Trying to look basically at what I could see. Basically, I would think Fire Elemental could be a decent fit into the deck if you wanted to go a little bit more of a late game. And honestly, maybe you want to add in the second Steward of Scrolls just to try to generate some more spells for use with Brukan. But honestly, it's really not centered around Brukan. Brukan is just kind of an addition to the deck to help deal more board clearing damage, right? And that's kind of what I decided to go with. Yes, we could have added Rockbiter. Rockbiter does kind of the same thing as Stormstrike, but I like the versatility of Stormstrike, plus it does work with Brukan. So to me, I feel like Stormstrike was just a bit of a better fit. Yes, probably Hex wouldn't be bad either, as Hex does kind of do well against the large taunts. Something that could be kind of slotted in. I think, as I said, this is something to be experimented with a good amount. Anyways, that is our number 3 deck. So number 2, this is probably the most surprising thing for me. It is actually Priest, which is usually my least favorite class next to Demon Hunter. And this had cards in it that I just did not expect. I thought that, yes, while I really enjoyed the Watch Post stuff, I thought it was like a cool mechanic, but I wasn't sure how well it was going to do. Man, this is probably one of the most annoying cancerous decks I've ever played with. So essentially, all you do is stall out. Stall the game out, and you want to, preferably, if you can get this Morshan Watch Post onto the field as fast as possible, the game's just insanely over. It just stalls out the game hardcore, right? And then we have cards like Gift of Luminance, which can copy the Watch Post, right? So then we have double the Morshan Watch Post, or even Far Watch Post, right? If you have that out there, make it really obnoxious so things are costing more mana for them. Disrupting combos, anything like that. I just found, I didn't even include the other Watch Post. So if you look, Crossroads Watch Post to me just does not fit into this deck. We don't care about buffing up anything because our win conditions are literally Rally, which if you look at Rally, it pulls a 1, 2, and 3 cost. Well, our 1 cost, the only 1 drop we have is Reliquary of Souls. Then our 2 drop is Far Watchpost. Our 3 is Marshon Watchpost. The only negative is that Marshon Watchpost summons 2/2s, which are 2 mana. So there's a good chance that you're probably going to end up with a 2/2, just a regular 2/2. But overall, I think that's a decent enough trade-off to get Reliquary of Souls plus your Marshon Watchpost back. And then talk about like one of the MVPs of the deck is Void Flare. This card is an animal in this deck. Probably one of my most underrated cards that I was not expecting this to be a very good card. And it turns out it's pretty darn good. Xyrella also, with the Desperate Prayer, a lot better. Like, I guess I just didn't see this deck being something, which made me not really like those cards as much. Once I got this deck kind of created and I just cobbed it together, it really came together really well. And then, so our finishers basically for the deck are stalling the game out until you can play Kargal Battlescar. And then the other thing too is we have Raise Dead, which brings back some of our stuff. So if you can, pull a Void Flare, Xyrella, Kargal, any of the Watchpost, that's positive. But the other really big thing is Reliquary of Souls, the Reliquary Prime, is massive. And being able to shuffle like 2 to 3 of those into your deck is really hard for them to deal with. And you're just kind of stalling out, waiting until end game when they can't really do anything. And you're just mass healing on the stuff. Tons of control with Shadowward Ruin, being able to clear any of the big stuff. Realistically, I like to save this as late as possible. I don't want to use this like ASAP and then kind of, you sit back in your hands, because realistically, we can't deal too great a damage against large minions. So I would say Control Warlock is probably one of the worst matchups I could see this going against this, and a super hyper aggressive deck would also be probably pretty rough on this. But as long as you get something early on, that could help it out. Another thing you could do also is maybe throw in something that gives taunt. So I'm thinking like Defender of Argus onto one of the Watchposts to make them a little bit more of an issue to deal with, because it is in the 4-drop category. The only problem is then you're removing some spells from the deck, which reduces the use of Palm Reader. You're also reducing the use of Void Flare. I just honestly don't think it's probably the best, but it is an option to, kind of tuck that one in maybe here and there if needed. Overall, though, this deck has been... It was a meme, honestly. Like, I thought this was probably the funniest deck in the world. Just playing against my friend. We weren't playing the most insane decks in the world. I threw this together as just a troll. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, this deck is kind of nutty. Took it onto the ladder, and it's still the same. Doesn't matter really what I've gone against. It is a nutty ass deck. I've actually have yet to lose with it. Not that I've had that many games with it. Probably played about 5 games with friends, and then about 2 games on the ladder, maybe 3. And it doesn't lose no matter what happens. It just seems like the stall is too insane. All right, and finally, my favorite deck of Forges and Barrens as of right now is Freeze Ping Mage. So the ping stuff is what they're calling it. I honestly just like to call it combo Freeze Mage. This is very reminiscent of the old freeze the board, stall as much as possible, and then once you get your combo, you just go off with Murderous Fire Eye, right? I have had pretty good success with this. I did just make a couple little changes, so I'm not sure if it's gonna be as useful. I had actually, let me get to it. The 2-mana draw spell card in here. Yes, Star Scryer. I had Star Scryer in the deck instead of a Rune Orb, but I feel like Rune Orb is probably a little bit more flexible. And I like having more spells in the deck than having minions, as I just don't feel like the minions do too much. The minions that are in here are kind of essential, right? So for the minions, we have Frozen Shadow Weaver, which is just a minion with freeze. Then we also have Inconspicuous Rider, which pulls our secrets out and plays them at the same time, thinning our deck as much as possible. We have Reckless Apprentice, which obviously doesn't even need to be really mentioned. It just pings more things for you. Varden Dawngrasp, which is an insane freeze board. You're looking at a 1-mana 3/3 with Frost Nova. Talon Fordring, which draws our Mortar's Fire Eye, or if you already have Mortar's Fire Eye, you can draw Varden Dawngrasp. Honestly, anything you really draw with this is good. It works well. So it's not like, oh, we have only one big guy that we need and the rest of the crap doesn't matter really. Well, every minion really matters in this. Not that it's like essential, but they're all pretty solid draws. Going over the spells, Flurry is a lot better than I expected it to be. You just need something to stall out. Sometimes you need to just hit one minion. Sometimes you need to hit two. And it seems like it always works out to be that you're freezing exactly the amount of minions that you need to, right? So if they have just 2 minions on the board and they've got a big boy on there and you're at 5 mana, it doesn't matter. You're just trying to freeze that big boy. You don't really care about the small guy. Conjurer Mana Biscuit is essential. This is part of the combo. You need 4 extra mana in order to do Mortar's Fire Eye, both of the biscuits, and then we play Potion of Evolution to get back a 1-mana 1/1 Mortar's Fire Eye, right? That is the combo itself. So then Rune Orb, my thought is just you ping something down and then you get another spell. Hopefully you get some sort of freeze or you get some card draw, anything that can be utilized there. Wildfire obviously increases our ping, so then we do more damage with Reckless Apprentice, or even if you just need to, increase your damage to take things down. It's just what is needed in the deck. It's kind of essential. Probably only really need to use one, but having the 2 in there dealing 3 damage per turn with your hero power is nice. Arcane Elect, card draw. Cone of Cold is more of a stall. Obviously, that's the stall. Ice Barrier is stalling out, increasing our health by 16. Oasis Ally is another good one, I think. So this is another freeze as you get a Water Elemental. Plus, you're looking at one that can be pulled out for free. So, I mean, it's basically a free 3/6 if you're playing Inconspicuous Rider. Or if you want to go the other way, a 3-mana 3/6 with a free 2/2. Pretty nutty. I had 2 Rigged Fair Games into the deck, but I felt like I was kind of drawing too much, and it was specifically with this card. Drawing 3 cards is really rough. You can't really do too much, and controlling it it's definitely rough. Especially if you play Conspicuous Rider and it pulls that card out, and then you're like, oh damn, I don't have the space for this. It made me have some rough things, and if you overdraw any of the combo pieces, you lost the game. It's pretty much game over. Potion Illusion, we said, is combo piece. We already talked about it. But Refreshing Spring Water is our last one. We have a majority of spells in the deck, so having Refreshing Spring Water just is basically a 0-mana draw 2 cards, or it's a 2-mana draw 2, which is also really useful. Better than Arcane Elect. Yeah, so honestly, that is my favorite 3 decks of the expansion. I absolutely love the Freeze Ping Mage. Love the Watch Post one. Elemental Shaman needs to have a little bit more things. I'm going to be creating more decks and experimenting them. I'm going to be putting up videos of each of these decks along with it. So they're not going to be in the same video, but you could check them out. I'm sure I'll have a video up at some point in the near future of all of these decks. And let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any decks you want to test out, want me to test out and see. And we'll be bringing new stuff all the time. I'm always going to be experimenting. I absolutely love this expansion. I like the way the Hearthstone is going. Can't wait to see what else they do. Have a good one. I will see you next time.